Latinos make up what percentage you think in the wine industry, in the labor force?
Man, geez, in the labor force, well, hell, 90 plus.
Yeah, right. And if there's like less than 100, it's probably like two white kids that
for sure that dropped out of school or
yeah,
something.
they
right?
couldn't get the Uber license,
Yeah,
whatever, right?
They told me I could be the president of my imagination.
So, again, why did you select this flavor?
The blend that I selected was one that I liked personally because it was aromatic, it was smooth on the back, and it was something that was soft for people who weren't too familiar with wines.
So I'm new.
Okay.
Is it important when people swirl it? What are they doing to swirl it?
You're bringing the aroma out.
You're bringing the aroma out.
Yeah, you're letting it breathe. You're opening it up.
What about the stereotype about looking at the legs? Is that even true?
Well,
I do it because
Right.
I got taught that way, and it seems to work. But is that a myth?
you know what? That's the same way I was taught. I don't make wine, but I was taught that the more legs it has, the better quality it might be, and it looks beautiful.
I don't know. I think sometimes before you even drink it, you already, if you go through the aroma and the look, you're like, it could be like shit, but it tastes good because you like the color, you like the swirl. Is the color important?
The color is because it makes it more attractive. I think it's more captivating when it's dark, rich. I mean, it looks like a good quality wine.
Does it affect the flavor?
In some cases, I say it would, yes.
Okay, good. Kind of like a cigar. A cigar, for me, a cigar, it has to have a certain tone to it. It can't be light because when it burns, it just doesn't look cool.
Correct.
Or what to my liking. So I'll like a sun-grown, and I'll stay away from Maduros just because mentally I think it's stronger, but it's not right. I think we were talking earlier, Jesus and us in the back, is that the misconception of what is a good wine. So you were there, palates are different.
Correct.
So what is the best wine for somebody?
Well, it's personally what your palate is, A lot of people go with these bolder reds and say that, cabs, especially from the Napa Valley, is the wine, but it's pretty much what your palate is, it's what you like.
Do you drink wine by itself, or do you like to pair it with food?
I like both. Depending on, how smooth the wine is. If it's a smooth wine, I can drink it all day long. If it's a bolder wine, I'll pair it with food.
Is wine supposed to be, drinking at night to relax you, to wake you up? Or like me, I'll have a Cuban coffee at night to relax me.
Right.
But some people might say it keeps them up all night.
Personally, I drink wine all day.
Yeah, okay. Got it. So what made you get into it? Listen,
sure.
Most traditional winemakers or wine owners start off ground up. You're actually unique. You didn't go work in the wine fields. You got into it how?
I got into it by helping an individual here in the Napa Valley who had a brand, a Latino brand, that caught my eye and interest. And so I basically, because it caught my eye and attention, I wanted to learn. It's like, wow, this is unique. It's for my people, by my people. What's this about?
You mentioned before, though, that it kind of kept you away from some of the challenges you were having in life. The anxiety, the uncertainty maybe, and something new got your mind focused again, right? You want to touch on that or just skip that?
Oh, well, that's a long story.
But you can say that because, the wine itself didn't attract you.
Right.
It was at a certain point in your life that you said, you know what, I'm not fulfilled. And it was telling the story that you saw Latino networking. You don't have to be specific.
No, you're right.
The people that, screwed us over are probably going to watch this show, so fuck them.
You know what it was? I was intrigued. I was intrigued by it. So I wanted to know how my people, that you're so accustomed seeing, in the vineyards, picking the grapes, and
Latinos,
cleaning Latinos.
Latinos make up what percentage you think in the wine industry, in the labor force?
Man, geez, in the labor force, well, hell, 90 plus.
Yeah, right. And if there's like less than 100, it's probably like two white kids that
for sure that dropped out of school or something.
Yeah, they
right?
couldn't get the Uber license, whatever, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So then that's what inspired you, was the culture of Latinos in wine.
Yeah.
Because were you a wine drinker before?
No, never.
That's what I'm saying. That's what people need to understand, that you can get into wine for any different reasons. I would like to say, listening to your story, one, it was a calling in your life, but two, I think you're always a businessman because when we first met, we talked business.
Sure. Well, you're always thinking, you know what? How can I make money? How can I better
Not
myself?
everybody. Cancel culture doesn't think about business.
You're right. You're right. Well, different people, different mentalities, but it just sprung an interest, and I'm just like, okay, how can I learn about this more? You know, because the story is intriguing. It's about my culture. How can I learn more about it? How can I get more knowledge?
And then you started liking the actual wine flavor.
I did.
When I started cooking, it was to please everybody because I enjoyed watching people's reaction, entertain people, my family. Eventually, it turned into I was consuming the food, that I loved tasting the food, which is why at some point I got to 35 pounds heavier. I just stopped caring what the fuck I looked like. But is that how you transformed into wine?
No, it was more so acquiring a flavor, a taste for the flavor.
Yes.
And as I was doing that, I was learning more about it, and I was being taught it by the person I was helping. And in turn, he was introducing me to more people in the industry, Latinos in particular, which kept my focus and interest in it because, you know, it involved my people. So as they each taught me, you know, their tricks and their techniques and what to look for, what to taste, what to smell, it started opening up my mind.
Got it.
So I was learning more.
At what point did you say, I want to turn this into a business?
Way down the line, I had it in the back of my mind.
Because that's what we always think.
Exactly, as a business person or an entrepreneur, you know,
Yeah.
go-getter. But there were so many other things I was involved in. I had projects that it was easier for me to do. This would have been a brand new thing for me as I was learning.
Yeah.
So I want to say from the point that I started consuming it, learning about it, being introduced to it in the industry, I want to say maybe within 4 to 5 years of that, I came to this.
So 4 to 5 years consuming, learning the game on the sales side.
Helping,
involved. Yeah,
involved.
because you kind of have to. I was working on some bios the other day for Luis and Jesus, and I saw that they have that work history.
Right.
Because you have to learn. I didn't get the opportunity to work in kitchens, commercial kitchens. I just have to learn my own way.
Sure.
And create dishes. That's one thing I do look back that I missed, but time wasn't on my side. Just like time wasn't on your side here, right? So now you decided to do to build some sort of business. Why did you go, like people have names, they have exotic names. Why did you decide to put numbers?
Well, the 808 is the passion and dedicated towards the 808 kick drum, which the kick drum was the machine that created the beats and the sounds originally for the music that was pumped out in the 80s and early 90s.
So you like freestyle?
I love freestyle music. I love anything old school.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So who are some of your favorite freestyle artists?
George Lamond, Lil Susie.
Shout out to George Lamond.
That's right.
Lil Susie, I
Trenier.
remember that. But you grew up in the Bay?
I did.
Did you
Originally, born and raised.
Did you used to go to the freestyle clubs like Mission and Gardens in Fremont?
I did. Do you want even better, man? They used to call it the meat market. It was in San Jose. It was
Studio 47.
Studio 47.
Floor. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, those are the old days.
The meat market. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the old Lil Susie, Trenier days. That's where Jazzy Jim got his start before he went to Wow 107. He was at Upstairs Records.
Yeah, I remember Upstairs Records, San Jose.
I think freestyle was the Latin hip hop at the time.
It was.
You know, why do you think it died? Now, I don't want to get off the questions here, but
Great question.
Let's
Armando.
talk about that.
I love to talk about that because it is my passion. So I think it died out because they never developed the culture behind it. So hip hop, R&B, they developed the culture behind the music and it elevated it. And what I mean by that is they developed alcohol, clothing lines, shoe lines.
Entrepreneurship. Okay, so that's very interesting. Freestyle was a niche market. It was in the East Coast, some in San Jose, what have you. Who was the biggest in freestyle in the West? I think we were disadvantaged because everything came from the East. So you had the big producers. They didn't become a Diddy's. But Diddy wasn't, I mean, it's just genius because he was mentored by Clive Davis.
Right.
And so in freestyle, I didn't see that they had that kind of someone to look up to saying that's possible.
Correct.
You know.
And unfortunately, that game or that genre of music was dominated by one or two big promoters.
Yeah.
And you know, it wasn't fair to everybody else because it was kind of a monopoly.
Well,
right?
a lot of friends are represented by those promoters, so don't mention
Absolutely.
those names.
We won't go there. We won't go there. But yeah, no, the East Coast and
So
the
you
West Coast
decided
was
to name
totally
the
different.
wine after 808.
Absolutely.
The freestyle.
The freestyle.
Now, did people in Napa say to you, what the hell are you doing? You should be calling it Armando or Mario.
Nobody in Napa actually did. I think people were more like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? And I like that because it's like I'm different.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as I have a good product in a bottle and it tastes good.
And a market. I was on a call earlier today when they're talking about a product. When they don't even know who their target market is, their target audience, then how the fuck are you going to sell it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to consume it.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you had in the industry, without naming names? There's not easily access to mentorship in any business, correct?
No, the challenges are, well, you're competing against big names out here.
Yeah.
You know, that's number one.
1,700 wineries in Napa.
Absolutely.
Registered. Close to 500 tasting rooms pre-COVID. So that could be at 380.
Absolutely.
Right? And then, so that was a competition, but then how did you overcome that? By your market?
Straight up marketing strategy. You know, go get them, develop a niche market for it, use my passions for the music and my contacts, the connections, because let's face it, I don't own a winery, I don't own a vineyard. So what did I have to do to make my wine stand out, to get sales, to generate sales?
Yeah.
And so it was all in the marketing, the niche
After
marketing.
the flavor.
After the flavor. That's number one.
Yeah.
So you have to have a great tasting product in a bottle.
We tasted some wine earlier from somebody else, and I was surprised that you actually were asking winemaker questions. Does that happen naturally over your course? Because I want to be like you guys one day too. You guys
talk about it,
like
you know, swirl it in your mouth, taste it. Yeah, no, it does. As you're in the business and around the people, the professionals, the winemakers and stuff like that, you learn that, you know, and you learn it from, everybody's got their own different technique.
What are your biggest pet peeves? What are your biggest pet peeves? First in wine.
In wine, being that you have to be an educated person or a classy person to drink wine.
Because you don't.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Why is it bullshit?
Because, I mean, wine is wine. If it tastes good, why can't you drink it?
You know, I smoke Padron. Shout out to the Padron family. One time they asked, oh man, Don Orlando, what kind of tobacco do you use? Because, you know, the cigar snobs, hints of leather and fucking leather couch.
Silk, yeah.
He said it's either good tobacco or bad tobacco. Right? It's like what you said, you either like it good or not. So that's your pet peeve in wine. What's your pet peeve in the culture?
In the culture of what, wine?
Latinos.
Or Latinos? That, man, biggest pet peeve is that we hate on one another. I can't stand that.
There's not enough unity moving forward.
Absolutely.
I agree with you. I just choose to call it something else. I try to call it that we're missing out on opportunities.
You're right.
You know?
I'm more blunt when it comes to that.
No, and I was like that.
Yeah.
And you are right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just reword it. So that's your pet peeve in the culture. What is your pet peeve in politics? I know you didn't want to answer that one. No, you don't have to go which party affiliation, but what is your pet peeve?
When it comes to politics? Well, Armando, you know, I think my biggest pet peeve is that people don't respect other people's opinions. If you're asking me, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to agree
with me. And my job
me.
is not to convince you.
Correct. Because
we can have a conversation.
Absolutely. Where do we live? We live in America, right?
Yep.
And our freedom is you can believe what you
People
believe.
have forgotten that.
Absolutely.
And they act a fool. That's the biggest pet peeve. That it's not what your beliefs are.
Right.
It's how we act.
Absolutely.
That's what fucking gets me.
At the end of the day, I want to talk politics and we don't have to agree or we can't agree and then share a glass of wine.
I don't believe people should say, let's not talk politics or religion. We shouldn't judge each other off that.
Right.
Because it's in the news. It's what it impacts the future growth. You know,
does.
when you and I grew up, there was no social media.
No.
So we didn't know about the things that are going on today. Nowadays, if you don't talk about it, your kid's going to grow up with its own opinion.
Yeah.
Versus the father figure or the mentor.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
So where do you want to take, what do you want to do with, what's your 3-year goal with this?
My 3-year goal with 808 itself is to elevate it, you know, keep it growing into different states, which it's already getting into, you know, on the East Coast and
so
stuff.
You had to learn the sales part, distribution side, wholesale, retail, all that stuff.
I started in marketing. That was my passion in the beginning before I got into this. So it kind of sales and you know, good talk and networking came easy to me. So that's where it started.
What are some of the highlights of the last 7-year journey you've had in selling your wine or being in the wine and sell? How long has this been around?
808, this is the first year. So
first year.
That, I mean, we bottled it in
give
January.
me your first milestone.
The first milestone was putting it in a bottle on a year that was a pretty messed up year, right?
2020?
2020.
So that was a milestone.
That was.
What is something you've learned that if you can do it again, you would avoid?
Probably producing more than what I projected in selling. You know, because you want to build it up slow, because some people just go all out.
And the inventory.
Correct, inventory.
It's just like the restaurant business. It's just like the apparel business. Most restaurants lose because of the perishable wastes.
Correct.
Most people can't survive because of the inventory they have to hold in the apparel business.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier that just because you guys make wine and sell wine, and I'm in another industry, there are a lot more similarities than there are differences.
Correct.
Because we have to have business planning, we have to have profitability, we have to have customer service, and we have to have a product.
Product number one.
Yeah. So you want to increase sales. You want to have a tasting room one day. Do you want to have a restaurant? Because COVID's changed the whole game.
Dynamic. Oh yeah.
So what has it changed? What you want to do because of COVID, or are you just going to move forward with your plan, just pause, wait, and go back to it?
Well, I have a dream and I have a goal. I'm going to shoot for my goal and dream. And yeah, I'd love to have a place of my own, you know, maybe a couple places, and yeah, maybe a restaurant while we're at it too, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to keep elevating this brand and maybe another brand or two, you know, without a taste room or a winery.
What other singers that you grew up to that you would love to have taste your wine?
In the freestyle genre, or just in general, or?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, in general.
Well, man, Pitbull needs to try it.
Pitbull?
You know, Pitbull needs to get a hold of it. Tito Puente Jr. drank it already. Heck, you know, your Gloria Estefans of the world. I want all the OGs to taste it.
I think that traditional stories have been, there's some modifications to it.
Right.
Right? Because your story is not traditional.
It's not.
But it's still an interesting, successful story. If there's one person that you can have dinner with, dead or alive, who would that person be and why?
Dead or alive? That's a good question. Wow, one person.
Prepare yourself for your answers.
One person, dead or alive. Man, that's a good one.
Think about it while I drink some more wine.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, brother.
Well, let's think about it. You know, alive, what are some of your passions? Is sports your passion? Is celebrity your passion? Is business your passion?
You know what? Here's one.
Yeah. See, I'm a good fucking interviewer.
You are. No, you are. You've made this very easy, man. You know who I'm going to say? There's actually two. But
yeah, do it. No, do it.
Okay, so on the political side, it'd be Ronald Reagan.
Ooh, yep.
Ronald Reagan, and I'll say why, because he was a president with balls, man. I like presidents that have balls.
Yep.
And I like what he did. Everything he said he was going to do, he did, and he was delivering.
Class.
Yeah, I don't want you to say, you know what? I'm going to draw a line in the sand right here, and if you cross it, I'm gonna do something right, and you don't do it.
Yep.
I want a president or somebody in politics to say, like, you cross this line, I'm doing something. You know what I mean? And go through with it.
Yep.
I love Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
So on politics side, it would be Ronald Reagan. On the sports side, it'd be Bill Walsh.
Bill Walsh. Okay,
Billy
good.
Walsh.
Niner. That's what
yeah,
we're going
absolutely.
to.
No, Niner for
Luis
life.
is a fucking Raider fan. I'm not. Niner gang, bang, 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 Niner gang. Right?
You got it.
Shout out to you, 40, for that. Anyways, Mario from 808. Thank you for hanging with me tonight, bro. Telling me just part one of your story. We're gonna have a lot more.
Absolutely.
Because what we want to do is introduce wine to the passionate future wine lovers.
Right.
And not make it so stuffy. We're from the Bay, so we know who's kind of intimidating coming to Napa.
Yeah.
We want to open up Napa to everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Thank you.
So I enjoyed that particular conversation because he didn't come from a traditional background, which is kind of like what we want to do for the future wine passion people. Is it's not traditional. You weren't born into it, but this doesn't mean you can't learn it. You know, here you have Mario, who basically was an outsider. He wasn't being fulfilled in his life, and he didn't go too much into it. But I've gotten to know Mario, and I appreciate him. That wine was a way for him to kind of be distracted from the challenges he was having, and that turned into a passion, and now it turned into a business. He didn't say, I didn't have a story. He said, I want to get into it. I want to learn. He volunteered his time. And it's a lost art that we have. You know, I grew up, came here at a young age from Nicaragua. Man, there's so many things my parents made us do that we didn't like to do as kids back then. But that's one of the most precious things that you can do, is to volunteer, is to set aside time, compartmentalize your life for the passions, because you never know when those passions turn into business. So, you know, again, the story behind this is Mario's story. It's delicious, absolutely. Are there other delicious wines out there? Absolutely. But are there the very few stories out there? that's what you want to look out for, and that's the goal. What we want to do is promote and highlight those stories out there like Mario, and there's a lot more. It's just they're not being told, so that's our job.